Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell of California. Congressman, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Morning.
Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says the House is still in play for Democrats. 31 seats that your party needs to pick up based on what's left, including some races not called in your home state right now. Still in play. Is that how you see it?
Yes, there's a path for Democrats to be in a very thin majority. And if we're not in a thin majority, it's going to be a very thin majority for Republicans. We know how that works. We were just in that. And because the Republicans were completely disorganized and chaotic, Hakeem Jeffries was the functional Speaker of the House because every vote of consequence, the majority of the votes came from Democrats. So we know how to do that, but we would much rather be in a position where the House can fence in the worst instincts of Donald Trump through our oversight and accountability measures by being in the majority. But we'll wait and see. On it, California, traditionally, it's going to take another week or so, and these votes will put candidates up on our side. They'll put them down. It's going to be a roller coaster. It's hard to really read where they're going to go right now.
Let's let every vote be counted. Congressman, let me read you a portion of the letter to House Republican Speaker Johnson sent out. He writes, "The caucus will operate from our well-designed playbook and execute those plays with precision to put points on the board and win for the American people." What are you expecting, and how are Democrats preparing?
Well-designed playbook? Well, that well-designed playbook had interceptions, fumbles, penalties, offsides. They couldn't do anything under Speaker Johnson without Democrats over the last 2 years. So we are ready to work with them where we can deliver for the American people on lowering costs, on securing the border, on helping our allies on their front lines, on keeping the government open. So we'll stand ready. But I mean, it's comical to hear that they have any well-designed playbook because it was a farce the last Congress under their leadership.
Well, look, only one of the candidates in the presidential race, we're talking about bipartisanship out there on the campaign trail, and that was not ultimately what won. So Trump picked up support almost across the board with the working class, with voters of color, with men and women. He closed the gap in blue states. He expanded support in swing states. Republicans just took back the Senate. Did voters hand Trump and the Republican Party a sweeping mandate?
Well, I respect the will of the people, certainly. I'm not going to respect the ill of a weasel in Donald Trump, somebody who doesn't understand that these same voters don't want government-mandated abortions. They don't want a sweep up and roundup of anyone who looks like an immigrant in this country. They don't want us to walk away from our obligation to defend Ukraine. There's a lot we can work on together if he wants to be serious, if he wants to have security at the border and address the workforce crisis in immigration. You're going to find more Democrats than not who want to be there with him. But if he just wants to carry out grievances against his political enemies, he's looking at the tallest fence in the post right now as to the effort that's going to fence in any of his corruption or political grievance campaigns. You
mentioned carrying out grievances against political enemies, and you, as we all know, served as an impeachment manager for Trump's second impeachment. Trump's made many statements alluding to what he has called retribution. Let's listen.
Well, revenge does take time, I will say that.
It does.
And sometimes revenge can be justified, Phil. I have to be honest. Sometimes it can.
Are you personally worried about political retribution from the former president, now soon to be the president again?
Yeah, I'm not. I expect that it'll likely come, and I'll protect my family and my staff, as any of us are who are threatened by the former president. But look, I'm all in, and I'm worried about the young woman right now in a state with a 6-week abortion ban who doesn't know what she's going to do to protect her body. I'm worried about the students who are going to go to class tomorrow and live in a mass shooter culture because they don't have a president who wants to address that issue. I'm worried about the Ukrainian people on the front lines right now who just saw America walk away from them. So if they can, get up every day and find a way to move forward, I can. That doesn't mean that, right now we shouldn't grieve and be upset, but we have to have a to-do list of what we're going to do to protect this country and not let Donald Trump turn the lights out on democracy.
Congressman Eric Swalwell, thank you for joining us this morning. I really appreciate the
My pleasure.
time and conversation to be continued.